Good evening, everyone. We are going to call the meeting to order. Today is our committee meeting of the whole. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. We are going to start this meeting off with saluting to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have Mr. Cuff here today. So, Mr. Cuff, you want to do roll call, please?
I have
All right.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. We have no special presentations for today. And we're going to go to our review of the proposed agenda for our business meeting. Hold 1 second. Where am I at? All right, we're going to first start with our community relations agenda read by Ms. Luella Richardson.
Good evening, everyone. The agenda was starting with A1 will be kindergarten pre-registration class closes on March the 31st, 2023. Go to A2.
Yes,
A2
there's
is
a
the William Penn School District Spring Musicals. A3 is the FMSCU Excellence and Teaching Award winners. A4 is the William Penn School District Employee of the Quarter recipients. And A5 is the Apprenticeship and Trades Fair at the DCIU. And that concludes the community relations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Richardson. Are there any comments or questions from any board of directors at this time? All right, hearing and seeing none. We're going to go to our education committee agenda. Ms. Valerie Cook Henry is not here at the moment, so what I'll do is I'll read her. No, I got it for her. I'll read her agenda for her. B1, Foundations, Inc. Tutoring Program. B2, Expulsion Waiver Agreements. B3, Penwood High School students trip to Funplex in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And that concludes our education committee agenda at this time. Are there any questions from any board of directors at this time? All right, hearing and seeing none, we will go next to our personnel agenda, and that will be read by Ms. Jennifer Hall.
Okay, C1 retirements, C2 resignations, C3 appointments. Welcome, Ms. Matthews. C4 changes in assignment, C5 leaves of absence, C6 mentors, C7 miscellaneous. Hold on. And C8 10-year awards.
Thank you, Ms. Hall, for that. And I just want to say,
Sorry, C10, whoa. C10, salary track, C9, salary track changes, and C10, miscellaneous personnel items. C11, modifications to previously approved items. And C12, sorry. Ms. Blakey.
no problem, no problem.
I need to highlight this. And C12, additions to the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to make one correction. Ms. Kiera Mathias, that's how you say your name? Okay, thank you. I
Sorry.
just wanted to make sure that we had it correctly. Ms.
Got it.
Kiera Mathias. Thank you very much, Ms. Hall, for reading that committee report. Are there any questions with regard to personnel committee at this time? All right, hearing and seeing none. We'll go next to our property committee agenda, read by our chair, Mr. Jan Tong.
D1, district-wide copier and printer lease agreement. D2, contracted services, food service management company. That's the budget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tong, for that. Are there any questions at this time? Once again, we see D2 are contractor services for food service management. If there are any questions around that or anything at all? All right, hearing or seeing none, we'll move on to E, our Budget and Finance Committee agenda, read by Ms. Hoff.
E1, Treasurer's Report. E2, List of Bills. E3, Delaware Valley Vocational Technical Schools 2023-24 budget. E4, Delaware County Intermediate Unit 23-24 general operating budget. E5, the Delaware County Intermediate Unit Special Education 23-24 budget. E6, network equipment switches. E7, network licenses for access points. And E8, a contract with Deborah and Printy Esquire for E-rate services for the 22-23 school year.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hoff, for reading that agenda. Any questions or comments? Ms. Hoff has a question. Let's go.
Great, I have a couple.
Mhm.
So on E6, the number that was in our packet of 180,000 and something, is that our rate on E-rate, or does that get reduced from there for like however much we pay on the dollar?
I'm going to ask that Ms. Agnew step out and address that question, please.
So that is previous,
That is, so that number will actually be lower,
yes, so the 85%.
85% less.
Just forward it to you here.
Correct, that's what I thought. Thank you. And so E7 is the same. And you need the extra licenses because of the more students we have?
No, so what took place here, we had to do an inventory.
Right.
So after we did the inventory, we did that key mapping of and that's what after that, so it's a combination of two things. The one thing is, when we did the inventory, the ones that were old.
Right,
Can we
right.
ask Miss Agnew to step to the mic so we can hear her online, please?
Sorry about that. So let's start with the first one. Thank you, Ms. Hopkins.
Okay, so that's pre-discount,
So we'll pay 85% less of that
Correct.
number.
yes.
All right, next
Okay.
one.
The second one is that we need additional switches and access points because after last year, we had to do an inventory. There was no inventory of all the equipment. After we did the inventory, it was determined that some of the switches needed to be replaced due to age. So we had additional switches that fell outside of the age range. And then the second one was we did heat mapping throughout the buildings. And what heat mapping does is it determines where your signal is weak and you may need additional access points. And after we did the heat mapping, it was determined that we would need additional access points.
So this E7 is for software and hardware,
No, it's for access points and for,
which is a hardware,
Switches.
right?
yeah, so it's both, they're both hardware.
Okay, great. And that again will be, that is the big number. We'll pay 85% less of
Correct.
that. Great. And E8, is it right that these services are for 2022-23? Wouldn't we ordinarily get that pre-approved versus post-approval? This is for services already rendered, E8.
Correct. She creates all the documents and everything. So when she submitted the two bids, she also submitted her contract as well. It's the same contract that she submitted last year.
Right,
So I
but
think the question is, Mary,
Oh.
in the typing, it says 22-23 school year. And I think Jennifer is asking for clarification. Should that be 23-24, or are we paying her now? for
We're paying her
work that-
now for services rendered with, right, like
During
within the
this
school
school
year.
year.
Correct.
So she said, should we have received this before?
Yeah, we should have.
So in the future, we can get her to submit it before services start.
Oh,
She
okay.
should just submit an estimate. She shouldn't submit the bill. She should like just do a scope of work or something.
Well, what she does is she bases it upon the amount that you are covered for. So if you look at her
Yeah,
costs, it's based upon like what
she
we
saved
get
us.
covered.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so she wouldn't know that until she goes through the process of submitting it and getting the bids and then
But
basing it.
One
upon
would
that.
argue that this is for next year's equipment.
Right, but I
Right.
do, right, but I do remember us approving something with her last year.
Yeah, last year
So
we
we'll-
did the same thing. We submitted it with we submitted all
Okay.
three at the same time.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll just look into that.
yeah, if you could, because one would argue that this is really 23, is this coming out of this year's budget or next year's budget?
That's the
This
big
E-rate.
question.
Next year.
So it's 23,
So
24.
it says 23, 24.
Yeah, so let's change the agenda. Because it's not coming out, it has nothing to do
With
with
this year, yeah.
Okay,
There's no
So-
issue. We're just looking at where the money is being taken
Yeah.
from. That's all.
No issue, we just want to keep it clean,
okay.
right? So this says 22, 23 school year, that's not true. It's not getting used this year and it's not getting paid for this year. So it can be 23, 24.
Okay, so you just want a correction to the years for the
Yes,
agenda?
correct.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much
Mhm.
for explaining.
Thank you.
All right.
And just for everyone's entertainment and very important, Mr. Tong and I have a meeting on Thursday via Zoom, property and budget. And it's the first budget advisory committee. So school board directors, if you can check in with your citizen, that would be awesome. They'll get notification from us, but a personal reach out to say, hey, see you online on Thursday would be great. Property goes first, but property goes first. right? Yeah, so 6:30.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any other questions with regard to the budget agenda, finance and budget agenda? All right, hearing or seeing none, we're going to move next on to our policy committee agenda read by our chair, Ms. Joanna Hopkins.
Good evening, everyone. Policy Committee Agenda, second reading of amended policies 335 and 336. The action is motion to approve the second reading and adoption of the William Penn School District amended policies 335 and 336, and to enter such reading into the minutes. F2. First reading of policy 337. The motion is to approve the first reading of the William Penn School District Policy 337 and to enter such reading into the minutes. I think that concludes my report. It does, and announcement is that we will not be hosting a policy committee meeting for April. Due to the fact that we will be on spring break at that time. And for my schedule, I just don't have time available to host any other day.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Hopkins.
Thank
Are
you.
there any comments, questions? Are there any comments, questions, or concerns with regard to the policy committee agenda? All right, hearing or seeing none? Next, we will go to our solicitor's report, which we don't have.
Comment.
Oh, yeah,
Public comment.
sorry. Thank you.
Hot dog.
Are there any public comments? Yes, hello, Ms. Lewis. Oh, we're doing amazing.
Different experience online than it is in person.
Yes,
Okay, new equipment, so now just press the button.
yes.
Green.
All right, excellent. Good evening, everyone. My name is Athea Lewis. I am a parent, mother, everything that I can possibly be. Question for C6.
Okay.
Is it common practice to have three people that we mentor?
You said it's a common practice.
Is it common practice to have 3 people that we mentor,
Oh,
as opposed to just mentoring a person and getting the most out of that?
It's,
Is that common practice?
I thought it
Um,
was.
Go ahead.
There are 3.
Hi, Fee, it's Katie. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Um,
that's fine.
It is, I wouldn't say it's common practice for one mentor to have 3 mentees. However, it is happening due to, we did work to find other mentors at the building and we weren't able to find them. So Mr. Smythe has stepped up to support these mentees and has been supporting them really through the induction process. So not common, but not unheard of.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
And then the contracted services for food management. I always get a little bit confused about this one because I'm not sure if we're asking for Aramark to be here or I'm talking about specifically the food. Is that what this is, or is that something different?
So it is for the Aramark contract. It is not for the Aramark, it's for the contracted services for the district. Currently, we have Aramark as our provider for food service. So this is the contract that is up now for renewal.
Yes, and this is for the food. I did state something earlier when my kids, one of my kids had gotten in trouble in school for stealing a chicken wing. And the chicken wing was so small, it was a buffalo wing, the smallest little buffalo wing that was dried up. And there was an issue with that, and I have a problem with that because that should say that it was awful. I have a problem with that because, and I could care less how petty it sounds, but our kids should be able to have quality food, that they don't come back to class afterwards, after having recess, and then come back to class and is not still hungry. Because we know the service, that the community that we serve, many of our kids need to come to school to get their meals. So I'm just curious if this is the particular contract for the actual food that the kids are receiving, or is this is it? Okay, great. I don't think that we should renew that contract. Thank you. I think it's been years that I've said that.
I think it would be helpful for those that are watching or viewing to understand the process. So Jeff, could you highlight the process? Because
Thank you.
we don't always have as much control over that process as one would think.
Yes,
So I
sir.
just think having that knowledge would be helpful for those people that are listening.
Sure. So food service contract, the RFP process for food service is governed by the PD Department of, it's a separate department within PDA. So only certain contractors are allowed to submit in and have to meet certain standards. So once we set that up and we send it out, then we have what's called a walkthrough, where all the vendors come in. All vendors have to be approved by PDE. So we do that, we have a walkthrough, then they come back. They walk through, they look at all of our financials, and then they have to submit in a proposal that comes into the district. And that's when we determine which will be the selected vendor, the selected choice. So once that vendor is selected, we have choices. They are selected for a 1-year term, then they have the option of 4-year renewals, is what happens from that point forward. So this is the first year. So the last contract is up, we went through the 4 renewals. So now we're on a new contract going forward. So that's where we're at right now.
So this vendor was selected?
It has not been selected yet. We
Okay.
received them, we have to review the applications, we received the packets. So once we review the packets, then we will bring that forward to the board.
Okay, and do we have other lists of other vendors?
This year, so far, we had 5 vendors initially come, only 2 submitted proposals.
Okay,
So we will be selecting from one of those.
from one or two vendors, and then no other vendors.
We only had, we had 5 people come for a visit, only 2 submitted proposals.
Okay, and then the other person that submitted proposals, are you aware of where they work or who they work
Yes,
with?
that's part of the application. They have submitted references of where they worked at for other districts they're in.
Okay, and is that information public where we can see if the kids like lunch there? Because like sometimes my daughter comes in, I don't want to bring her up yet, but sometimes my daughter comes in and she just gets a Rice Krispie treat for breakfast. So that's not acceptable. So we have to figure figure this out. So tell me tell me what I can do, tell me what people in the community can do to get our kids actual food for breakfast and actual food for lunch.
I don't know exactly what to answer that question. I know we will
Okay.
review what was submitted in,
Mhm.
and then once the selection of the candidate, when the vendor is selected, we can have those conversations.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, there are regulations that they can't go beyond because they're governed by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So there's certain things that they can serve and certain things they cannot serve.
Absolutely. But maybe even if they did an event where they had us see some of the food that they would have for our kids, maybe add salad, maybe add pizza, maybe add hot, warm food. There have been times when my kid can't get hot, warm food, right? So that's why I'm like, what can we do to support this?
And it's probably a meeting we need to have with the selected person to make sure that doesn't happen. That should not happen, but we can have meetings to make sure that probably review throughout the year possibly to see how they go.
All right, no problem. We'll be there.
Mr. Coe, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'll go ahead for you.
Will the board be seeing, the two proposals?
Well, the proposals are thick, so
Right.
we would give you the summary of it.
Yeah,
They come in binders.
yeah, great. And to that end, whoever we choose, the USDA and their vendors supply the food. We can't go outside of that network and purchase food.
Correct.
And like, for instance, we're not allowed to have whole milk. There's actually a bill in the House about us having whole milk as an option from the USDA.
Right, there are a lot of parameters, a lot of what the food is dictated by the age group. So I understand that sometimes there is a request to have more food, but they're governed by how big the portions can be by the age of the student.
Right.
Yep.
There's certain things that they can't, for example, there's certain things that we can't even put in our vending machines because
Yep.
we are part of the USDA program.
It-
So there are a lot of regulations tied to it, you know.
All right,
If you
thank
remember, this happened during the Obama administration with Michelle Obama. This was something that she was pushing for with removing sugar and certain things to have healthier students. So if you notice, there has been a big shift of what were our dietary needs for our students, and the food has changed. And I can say I've seen it, and I'm not happy about it. The food that I see, I mean, I'm being honest, I'm not happy about it.
If you,
I've seen it, but we are as a district under regulations.
it'd be
And
all right if you give them a real piece of chicken, right?
So I think what you're bringing forward may not be necessarily, it needs to be on that day, there may be an operational malfunction or misfunction that day. So that's something we can work on to make sure that doesn't happen going forward.
you. Mr. Cup, can you see the Q&A, please?
I apologize.
before we go to the Q&A, hold on, we can continue our discussion here. What you're saying, because it's important that your voice gets heard and then everyone here, and then we'll go to the Q&A. Are you finished?
Yes, I'm
Ms.
finished with
Lewis?
that particular topic. I have some more.
Okay, hold on one second. Mr. Wright?
Can we ask them to come in personally to make their presentation? I remember we've done that years ago. Instead of reading a binder, can they come in and make their presentation?
Could, it would. Yeah, you could. I think you're gonna be close on time, but yes, we could.
But this sounds like this is important, that we need to speak to them directly.
And I have to agree with Mr. Wright. If we are hearing complaints about the food that is provided, and I do understand maybe on that day that she's referring to, it could have been a mishap in setting up. It could have been. But with that being said, we should do a compare and contrast of these two vendors, and they should be able to set up some type of presentation for us to see if we're willing to go back to the vendor that's providing our services. It may not be good quality. Maybe the other vendor can provide better quality. I'm unsure, but that's what Mr. Wright is asking us to do.
I just think it's a slippery slope. I mean, that's fine if that's what the board wants to do. I think that because you're gonna get somebody, you're gonna get a sales pitch that both are gonna give you the same sales pitch. But if that's what the board would like to do, I just think that's a slippery slope that you're not gonna come away you're gonna come in with whoever makes the better sales pitch, not necessarily the better product.
I want to see the food.
You said?
I want to see the food.
Right.
Just even if it's pictures.
No, but
right?
that's, for me, if I.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's, they don't control the food that we get.
I understand that.
It's shipped to us by the USDA food provider.
So who makes the menus to show these kids that at least say you'll get a hot breakfast or at least say you get a hot lunch, right?
Yeah,
Who
I
does
don't,
that?
I don't know the
manager on
answer to
site-
that
the manager
question.
on site would do that.
The manager on site
They
would
have
do
a
that?
nutrition, each one's supposed to have a nutritionist that helps to sculpt the menu.
Mhm.
So maybe that's something that we can discuss with regard to hot and cold food, because I do understand your complaint with that. There are times where food should be hot and it's not. I get it. So maybe we need to speak with the person that's in charge of that versus talking to the contractor. We need to talk to the manager.
I just feel like if you would like money from our school district, you need to come correct. Like you need to come with whatever it is that you can and perform.
Yeah.
Because my daughter is not going, she's not leaving the high school anytime soon. We've had discussions.
Mm.
So I don't want this to come up for future students
Mhm,
and I don't want this to come up again for Krista.
mhm. Well, I understand that, and I appreciate
all.
you speaking up on this first. You've
Thank
been the
you.
first parent this year that has come up and talked about this year, just this year, with regard to talking about the food services.
Mhm.
Now that we have this on the agenda, what we'll do is we'll take what you're saying into account and we'll
Thank you.
discuss it as a board to figure out what we need to do, be it to be able to resolve this. I cannot guarantee, and we can't guarantee that
totally
it'll be
understand.
100% resolved, but we can look into the matter to understand why we are not getting better
Mhm.
quality food.
Yeah, because our kids don't want to come to school and not eating.
No, definitely, definitely. Go ahead.
My 3 minutes is up.
Well, I know you had another, I wanted her to finish, and if you're, and
Okay, last, all right, so this is my last question, and this question is on, I think I wrote on, I'm not sure that. The citizen that's chosen for budget and finance, did you all choose the citizen or the citizen volunteer? You know the citizen?
yes, so what we did was that from Budget and Finance, our chair, so what happened was, Jen, and also, I believe Janet sent the email out asking any, from the Board of Directors, could we recommend someone in the community that we knew?
Do you have a, do you have a person?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Okay, great. All right, I'll be around.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't stop you from coming.
It doesn't stop me from
It does, no.
Yeah.
All right, just want to know
You can
about
be
it.
a part of it. It's not a number. You
Okay,
can come.
you just
Jen,
come and listen.
Jen wants more community members to be involved in this
Yeah.
process.
Oh, more
She's the
communities.
chair
Okay, we
of
can do
the,
It's a regular budget meeting,
that. Okay, oh,
Yes.
excellent.
right?
I'm
That
sorry.
But you
every,
want somebody from every
right,
area,
we
which
want
makes perfect
someone
sense.
from every borough there. And it's a regular public meeting, so anyone can come, everyone gets the same information.
Okay, great. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
and
that.
so that meeting's this Thursday, 6:30 on Zoom.
Yes, yes. And the last piece is mental health.
Mhm.
So I don't come with too many complaints, but it's time for us to do something. This school year is not like last school year. It's different. It's very, very different. The things that we are, that I'm seeing, from my job, but the things that I'm seeing that my daughter has to experience is more. It feels like more. One of my parents said to me today when I was talking to her, she said, you know, it's like we're dealing with a whole group of people who are in PTSD. And I said, you're right, I feel that way as well. So my daughter is here as well, to talk about that. There are some needs. And then, a suggestion that I have, for elementary schools, we have 4 specials. Maybe we add a special, right? That is, social emotional or a mental health special or something. Maybe we add a special. I get it. I know we don't have teachers, right? I get that piece, but something, because now it's things like kids saying anything out of their mouth. We're fighting the internet in school. Kids are saying anything out their mouths that they don't realize is not good. That idea between good and bad. Our kids are being disciplined disproportionately from my past experience in my life. The other piece is my daughter needs support, right? Yes, we've done SAC. Yes, we are outside counseling. Yes, there has to be something. I mean, even if we go to some students choosing a hybrid model, where we're not in school where the fire alarm is being pulled at 2:16 right before I can get on my bus, something to something to work our kids back into it. All of our kids are still, well, not all of our kids, but some of our kids are still in the place where they need support. And I'm a parent of a gifted student, right? We got, for the most part, a stable household that I think I know of.
Mhm.
But it's like, I would like us to make sure that we address that somewhere. But we have to address it, because it's gonna be a bigger issue, and we can't solve that problem with bigger problems. So we have to do something.
Okay,
And that's all I had to say tonight, and thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Boykins,
Next- no, hold on one second, Ms. Hopkins, and 1 second, Jen.
No, I was.
Dr. V. Coates wanted to say some words, and then I'll go in after that.
I just wanted to make sure I'm clear. Jeff, is there a deadline date by which we have to provide information to the state as it relates to who we're recommending to be our
yes.
food service provider?
I will double check that. I think that you would have to, our contract ends at the end of this year, so we have to have something in place. But if you're gonna have a new vendor in, you have to give them sufficient time to have things in place. If we particularly plan on having summer feedings of that nature. So I would say, probably think that if not this month, it definitely should be by next month. I would not venture to go into June, because I don't think that's enough time for anyone to come in and have summer feedings right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff and Dr. V. Coates. Next, we're gonna go to Ms. Hopkins. Did you have a question, Ms. Hop, or a statement?
I did. It was similar to Dr. B. Coates. But I'm also asking because at the PSBA conference, there were a great deal of vendors there that were from food service, offering to come and do presentations regarding the foods that they had for samples at the conference was absolutely delicious, and they did breakfast, lunch, and lunches there as well. My favorite was this corn salad, Mexican corn salad was my favorite, but I just was wondering the same thing about the date. So, and then can we, like Ms. Lewis said, have folks come in there and do a taste testing like they did at the PSBA conference? They showed us their wares, they gave us they spiel, and we had a taste testing, very small, very simple, nothing, nothing elaborate, but it was just something so that we could, see what they're offering and then also be in compliance to the state.
Thank you, Ms. Hopkins. I think now that has been noted, and Jeff is going to get back to us of how we can work on this process. So thank you very much. And if you have any of those vendors from the PSBA that you can give to Jeff, that probably would be great.
Could you only have 2 people?
Oh, we only have 2 on the
You can't
table.
Open it back up beyond there. You have 2 people.
Oh, okay.
The PD is very strict.
Got you.
What's up?
Say it again.
That was 4 years ago, so you would have to see that those vendors are still in business, et cetera.
Okay, okay. I thought she was saying current recently. Okay, all right. So we'll have.
I just went in what, October?
That's what I was thinking, Ms. Hopkins.
Right, But,
Sorry.
But
but the point that Jeff
Yeah,
was making
yeah.
is that the vendors, we put it out there. If vendors did not submit something and then follow up with the bid, we
Right.
can't now reopen it. So
Gotcha.
that process has
Yeah,
passed.
yeah.
So it will
My
only be
fault
2
was-
vendors that we will be
Mhm.
furthering our discussions with.
agreed. So, and this is for a 1-year contract?
It's a 1-year contract that has an option to renew for 4 individual years.
Okay, so Board of Directors, now that we're hearing this process, if we pick someone this year, we'll have them for 1 year. We don't have to necessarily give them an option for 4 years. And now that we understand and are aware of this process now and how we need to pursue forward with acquiring more vendors, this is something that we can do in the future. So after this 1 year, I would think of not. Go ahead.
Right, or we can pick, Jeff's gonna send us the spreadsheet, we can look at it, and then after picking a vendor, we can say, all right, now do now show us what the menus could look like over there
Mhm.
and serve us the food.
No, and I understand that. I'm
Yeah.
saying other options. There may, according to Joy, there's other options out there than what we just have. But even though we have those two options, let's look outside of those once we have them for a year. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, you don't know until you know. So, thank you for that. Thank you for explaining. Next, we have Miss Lewis in the back, and then what's your name again? Miss Samantha. So either one of you can step up to the podium. You have the floor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have two concerns when you were talking about, I think it's Airmark is who you have now. Is that who it is?
Our contractor, yes.
Okay. First of all, there's been stories, my daughter has came home and told me, there's been fights that have broke out amongst the adults in the kitchen. Like, I just was like, the adults were fighting? Are you serious? So they definitely need to conduct themselves in a better manner. Like, how can you expect the kids to behave when the adults were back there fighting? And then it's like, my daughter's standing there in line and this one particular woman, I don't know what her issue is, because yeah, my daughter can have a big mouth, but she has a big mouth in the correct way. She's not disrespectful. So whenever my daughter's standing in line, this woman will turn around and wait on every single person and just skip over my daughter. I don't know what her problem is with her, but she like, when she does talk to her, she has an attitude. And it's like, are you serious? Like, what is her issue? And the only issue is my daughter is the only white child. And it's like, are you serious? Like, I'm just like in shock, but little does she know. I mean, things aren't always what they seem to be. But anyway, that's besides the point. I just cannot believe that this woman constantly has an attitude and is like, and it shows. And then, like I said, the fighting amongst the kitchen staff, and they're like taking care of the kids, and there was men down there fighting.
And your daughter's at the high school
Yeah,
campus?
correct. Yep.
Okay, okay.
And then the other issue is I just wish that things would go, I believe, a little bit more smoothly if the teachers felt as though they had support. Like, I just don't feel like sometimes when the teachers go to implement something, sometimes they're almost afraid to reprimand somebody. And it's like the kids are acting any kind of way they want because they're afraid, the teacher's afraid that if they say something, it's gonna come back on them. So then the kids see that and then they just get worse. And it's a shame. We're losing a lot of good teachers and ones who have been very positive in my daughter's life. And now they're leaving because like they're not getting enough money. Our school district we just got so much money. Why is it that we're not able to compensate the teachers a little bit more, plus stand behind them so the teachers feel more secure? And then they can they do a good job, but they will be able to be more effective if they feel as though they have support, if somebody's standing up behind them. You know, it's like if you're, they want to feel as though they have the support of the principal or whatever, like if they're have to write somebody up, you know, just to know that there's actually going to be consequences for the child that they had to write up. My sister actually teaches here. And she had a girl in her room and that girl was off the wall. It was bad. And then she's in there and she's threatening everybody. It's like, are you serious? She's threatening 3 different teachers down there. And it's like, you know, there's not really going to be much consequence for her. And so they just continue to keep doing it. And it's a shame. I mean, I realize people have things going on at home, but I have things, you know, that go on at home too, but I don't go out and, you know, make everybody else a victim because I have something going on. It's just not fair. So I just wish, like I said, that the teachers would get more support also.
Okay, so Dr. Vico to address, I just wanted, for the first statement that you made with regard to your daughter being overlooked during lunch, I apologize that is happening. We will definitely look into that, but I want to refer to Dr. Vico for everything else.
Well,
okay?
like I said, I mean, if we keep Airmark, I just wish maybe they need to like revamp their staff and get a fresher staff or something. Maybe those people are tired. I'm not sure what's going on, but they surely do not need to act the way they act down there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So in reference to the issue with the staff, I'm aware of an issue. It may not be that specific issue, but the issue was addressed by the Airmark manager. I do know that for sure.
Okay.
And in reference to the additional money that we received in paying teachers more, I'm not sure what you're referencing in terms of the additional money that we received.
Well, like I'm saying, I know that you can, like, there's sometimes different bonuses to get somebody to come on and things like that. It's just like, I feel like sometimes can the teachers get like a raise or something to help them to be able to stay? Like, I know there's several teachers that they love teaching and they're very good at it, but they have to leave because they have to go get more money somewhere else, and it's just.
And I do agree that we should be paying teachers more. We've been working with the union on developing a proposal when we come out with our budget for 23-24. And so I definitely agree with you there. And we will definitely try to support that effort. I'm sure you are probably aware that what we can provide is directly tied to what we get from the state.
Yeah.
And so that is something that we're definitely looking into. This year, we did give all teachers a one-time, I'll call it a bonus, if you will, or incentive for being here through COVID. Was that enough? Probably not, but it was one way in which we acknowledge their support of our school district. So more work needs to be done in that endeavor, and we are definitely, that is on the top, one of the top priorities that we have.
No, I mean, I know we're struggling as a district as a whole, and we darn sure should have gotten our due a long time ago. I realize that, and I hope we make it there.
No.
I appreciate you sharing that
Thank you.
comments.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lewis, you have the floor.
Hi, my name is Krista Lewis. I go to the Penwood High School campus over there. I'm in 10th grade, and I wanted to talk really quick about the lunches and about mental health. I'm a student there, so I've experienced it, and I want to say that we are split up. So 11th and 12th 11th and 12th graders are downstairs in the cafeteria and getting like hot food and 3 choices of meals, which are usually hot food unless they choose the cold food. We have to sit in the auxiliary gym where we have pizza that's kind of okay and doesn't seem like it's really cooked or prepared correctly, as well as cold nachos. We have no hot food up there. We were recently, which should have been a long time ago in the beginning of the year, recently around January, I believe, we were given the option, or maybe February actually, we were given the option to go downstairs to get the lunch that is neither the pizza or the nachos. So we had to get that from upstairs, even if it was still really bad. And that was okay. Then again, on Friday, I believe they said that we were allowed to go downstairs to now get the pizza and the nachos from both sides. But we had to go upstairs back to the auxiliary gym. My issue is that today students were being denied lunch for the pizza and the nachos, even though we were told on Friday that we had to for sure go downstairs to get that lunch because they were not going to be doing separate lunches anymore. So I want to know what's going on with that because I'd like to better my food and not have to ingest things that I do not like. I also would like to agree with the 2 ladies that stood up before about our lunches because we are the people consuming them. Even though you guys have to do get to do the test taste for them, we will be consuming those lunches for 9 months. Correct me if I'm wrong. And most kids, after they eat that lunch and maybe if they don't eat breakfast, they go home and they do their work and they go to sleep. Most kids don't get to eat dinner when they come home. So that is their food. I also like to talk about the breakfast as well. We don't get hot breakfast at all. We don't even get a real choice of cooked breakfast. Our choices consist of lots of Rice Krispies, which I know some of my friends as well as other students take some extra to go home with and or just like eat snack throughout the day or bring them to lunch because they'd rather eat the rice, like one Rice Krispie rather than the lunch that they serve. I feel that's unacceptable, you know, because I like a hot breakfast. I personally don't even eat the breakfast because there's nothing there for me or taste or anything that I would enjoy. And I feel like having Rice Krispies every single morning for breakfast is a little, not okay, I don't like that idea. We are, of course, we still get juice, but I have not seen a hot breakfast for our school since 9th grade, and I am used to getting them since kindergarten, which is however long I've been going here since kindergarten. So I don't know when we decided to just stop giving hot breakfast and good lunch, but I hope that we have a way to fix that, especially since I'm gonna be going here for the next 2 years and almost having to finish this year here.
Definitely understand. I mean, eating a Rice Krispie and juice, that's just nothing but sugar in the morning time. So you're probably crashing probably around third
Yes.
period because you're just eating nothing but sugar. So I definitely understand that.
We have to go to the school at 6 a.m. So
I understand.
continuing our day, so.
I understand.
I want to move on to mental health. I again agree with both of what was said. Again, I'm a student here, so I know what it's like going to class every single day and feeling like I don't have the support that I need sometimes when I'm just like feeling down, and I feel like that it's keeping me from being able to focus or work or do something that I'm supposed to be doing in class. I have met with the Lakeside people. They have been a help. However, it is not a official kind of mental health support therapist thing. As in, like, I will meet with the lady that I meet with maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, once out of that week, and that is supposed to hold me off, kind of like. But you know, in between that, I feel like there should be something where we are able to just like step out of class and maybe go to a room where we can just like calm, you know. I also wanted to talk about how we are getting might be getting an extra period or extra 2 periods next year during our schedule. One of those periods for, I believe, the 7-period schedule is going to be advisory and homeroom, which would be in the middle of the day. I think that's a very good idea, because I feel like students should need a break in the middle of the day instead of in the morning, because you know, you have your morning, kind of hang out with your friends, you know, move on to first period, and for the rest of the day, it's straight school. And we are still stuck in, well, some of us are still stuck in our 2020 brains where we were sitting at home and on laptops and computers, which is another thing I want to bring up. I feel like there should definitely be an option for going hybrid and going in school simultaneously, because specifically, I'm going to talk about me because I haven't been able to interview other people to figure out if they agree. I would like to have that option because there are some days that I do need a break from going inside of the school building. I've spent a year, about 2 years or so, not being inside of a school building and then having to get over the fact of certain things that were caused by the pandemic revolving around my education. And I don't think we ever got a genuine like break or extra help from that besides the Lakeside, which is helpful, but not necessarily stopping or
enough for what you need.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to bring my conversation back to the advisory. Like I was saying, in the middle of the schedule, I think it's a good idea to have a straight period where we are allowed to give ourselves a break from school and keeping our like minds like stimulated on maybe something else for a second, instead of, you know, constantly studying for a test or constantly studying for something. Because I feel like that most of the kids that I go to school with, which I have been able to talk to some of them about, we are doing our schoolwork and homework and things like that for the grade and not necessarily to learn. And I don't think that's okay, because I don't remember when, but it was an immediate switch. I feel like after quarantine that we started doing our work and wanting to get good grades on our tests for the grade, because we feel as though that's all that matters. So the memorization and things like that, it drifts away after a while because we were not doing it in order to keep up with what we need to know for future reference, but only for what we need to know at that period of time so that we can see an A on our report card instead of see a high SAT score.
Yes.
And I think that's all I like to say.
No, thank you very much. All your points were spot on, but your last point, that I've seen that as well.
Thank you.
I've seen that as well. I've heard from teachers students come in and say, all I need is a D, all I need is a D. What do I have to do to get the D? You know, and they just do the work just to get to suffice that grade. So I have seen that, and I think you put it in a perspective where everybody here can understand. Because everyone wouldn't say, okay, I'm just doing the work to consume the education, or I'm just doing it to get a grade. There's a difference in that. So I appreciate you coming here and explaining that, because that's something that we all need to hear and understand, because a lot of students today are doing that, you know, so just thank you for those words. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, one more thing.
Yes.
Our class, I'm not exactly sure how many kids are in our 10th grade. But we were recently notified that there's about 30 students failing that will not be coming with us next year if they don't get our grades up. So that is part of the reason why I wanted to bring up the education part, because there is a lot of people that are just deciding to give up and not care about the grade in the end. So I feel like that this is a really important issue.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming here and speaking for those. Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Because, do you want to make any response to that?
I mean, I thank you for sharing your comments. I'm looking into the items that you raised in reference to the lunch. And so we will definitely get a response back to you about the lunch.
Anything about the advisory in the extra period? Nothing?
Not right now, because I know that the school is working on their periods and what they would do for next year. And I don't want to speak out of term, because I know that some work is going on. So we will be advising students and families about the schedules and what options there will be for 23-24.
Okay, so we'll circle back on that, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Board of Directors, does anyone here have any comments, questions, or concerns, or anything they want to bring up? All right. So at this time, our meeting will be adjourned. I want to say thank you, everybody, for attending tonight, and we will see you next Monday at our board business meeting. Thank you.
Board budget and property.
Oh, yes, board budget and property as well. Thursday.
High ticket.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your comments.